Yesterday we talked about, last week we talked about the Maharal's Netivot Olam, and the introduction was talking about the concept of Netivot, which is an idea of drochim, of paths, journeys, something that we travel on, and the importance of staying on the path and not deviating. It's an idea of certain perseverance, and these things are not set up haphazardly. They're very precise. Some allow us more room for deviation, for within the format that's given us, and some are more precise. But one thing that I maybe didn't emphasize enough last time was the idea that there's a certain guarantee that if you really do put yourself in the proper path and follow the instructions, so to speak, and stay on track, that it will lead you somewhere. This is going somewhere. You don't have to figure it out on your own, because simply by following the instructions in terms of a very gradual process of building up and developing certain maturity, certain perspectives, it's shaping you, it's molding you in a certain way, so that if you do what you're supposed to do, you're basically guaranteed to get to at the end of the line, you're going to be where you're supposed to be. And it all is moving towards what's called a tachlis. It's going towards an end point, a goal, a matara, what do you want to call it, something that we are moving towards gradually over a period of time. And there's a process involved. Like the previous speaker was talking about, you're not staying in the same place. You're moving. And the neshama itself, nefesh rich neshama, all of those madregas, everything's moving. I was just learning today in the lesson, Kabbalah Sefer is talking about how the whole movement towards Olam Haba is taking the madregas, the levels of doimim, someach, chai, medaber, inanimate, vegetation, animal, and man. Each one is moving up to the level above it, so that ultimately each level itself is being transformed into the higher level until all those levels come together. Ultimately, on the level of medaber, of the neshama, of the higher life form, and that's a gradual process which has to be accomplished over the course of history, and that's all the time from creation until finally Olam Haba, and then Skis Mesim and all these things. And there's a physical transformation that's happening, and there's a spiritual transformation that's happening. So we're not expected to do that. That's not something we have to emphasize, that we have to, figure out, like, how are we going to get there? It's like Hashem has planned that out for us, and that's the idea of Torah is to get us there. Okay, so that's a basic overview of the whole idea of all those Netivos we're talking about. She said, remember, there's the 32 Netivos that are covering all these different aspects of Yiddishkeit. But the one above all, kind of that, in a sense, is koil everything, is the Nesiv HaTorah. Nesiv HaTorah is basically defining the Nesiv HaTorah. Nesiv is the Nesivos are these paths, the paths. Okay, so the Nesiv HaTorah is what is, first of all, the only way we really find out what the other Nesivos are talking about. It is what shows us what's going on. The Torah is a lashon of hoirua, moira. It's showing us something. It's something that it's again giving us the rules, giving us the direction, giving us the groundwork and the framework, the structure, all these things, so that we can figure out where we're going. And the question is, what is Torah in itself? So he brings because there's a lot of different, understandings, misunderstandings, whatever, of what Torah really is. One of the things that has become increasingly, well, I mean, it was always a problem because going way back to the times of the Tzaddikim and the Prushim, where you had different ideas of what is involved in the verbal Torah, the Torah Sheba'al Peh, where do we get that from, or if it exists, the Chalal. You had later problems with the Karuim. You had, throughout history there have been discussions and sometimes, differences in terms of how to approach what the Torah itself is. Later on, when you get the Haskalah and this kind of thing, so then we had problems with things like Reform and Conservative and these types of movements which were trying to redefine the Torah in a different way. In the most recent period, I would say that one of the biggest fundamental questions about Torah is whether it's something that has to be accepted as a whole or something you can take piece by piece. You can break it down into little pieces and say, well, this is relevant to me and this is not relevant to me. This is I like this idea or I don't like this idea. This is consistent with the modern world and this is not. So the question is, is that possible? Can we say that is the Torah a package deal, something that we accept as a whole, or is it something that can be broken down into various parts and taken, piece by piece, and the more you accept, the better, or whatever? This has also become an issue in Kiruv, because a lot of people say that, look, you're taking people who are coming from nothing, and you want to just get them to do something, and you're hoping that whatever they do will influence them to do more. The only problem that I've always had with that is that once you give a person an idea that Torah can be accepted piece by piece, then you may even be afraid to introduce them to the idea of Kabbalah's Olam Malchus Shamayim, and the concept of Torah as being one klal, one unity, which is accepted as a whole, and the whole really a central part of the involvement in Torah itself is the commitment to take it on. That this is I am now, pledging allegiance to Hashem as the one who's going to direct my actions, and the Torah is the way that He's directing me. This is the way I'm following it because this is His direction. So therefore, there's first of all the ability to accept Hashem as being indeed the one I'm going to follow, and the second thing is to accept the Torah as being the way that He is directing me. That is the path to follow. So without those two principles, Torah becomes basically a collection of ideas, good ideas or advice. And then, if it hits you in the right way, you do it. If not. But then you don't. It's not a way to connect yourself to Hashem. Because who says that it's even coming from Hashem, as most of many of them doubt. You could just be just like a bunch of guys with good ideas, and they wrote it down, and this is our legacy from the Jewish people, and accept it if you want, and you don't want to, you don't have to. So obviously the Maharal is approaching it from a very different perspective, and I'm here to give over the Maharal. So this is the way he's dealing with it, and it pretty much is as he said himself in the introduction, he's trying to take, although he's definitely coming up with his own approach, he is taking it from a collection of many different sources in Chazal that are leading in this direction. Okay, so first he starts, as he does before, he starts with a pasuk from Mishlei. Yismoich divrei libcha shemor mitzvosai v'chayei. Okay, so Yismoich divrei libcha is referring to, it's hard to translate exactly, but it's an idea of the tmicha is an idea of a support. So it's supporting the words of your heart. Shmor mitzvosai, keep my commandments, v'chayei, and live. So Shlomo Melech is saying, he says, that Hashem wants to lahazhir es Olam ala Torah. He wants to it's warn, but it's more like direct or get people to take it seriously, whatever. Give attention to it. That's how, in terms of the pasuk, he's saying the Torah, which is the words of Hashem, is going to support your heart. And it's basically what it means is that Hashem knows first of all, how he set up, how he created man. He knows what man's heart needs, how it's constructed, what it needs for support. So he's put everything into the Torah that man needs in order that his heart should be supported, number one. And he's also saying that he knows what life is. And this is a really, really central issue, because the whole question is, how do we define life itself? What do we see as being the ultimate goal of life? And how do we, in terms of what we want out of life, so to speak, but what is life itself? In other words, if we're saying, basically the Torah is saying, that this life is only temporary, and ultimately we're going to another place, or within the same place, whatever, this world is going to be transformed into something completely different. And the real ultimate goal is what's going to happen then. Because it's not what's happening right now. Right now is a way to get there, but this is only a temporary pathway in order to get to that ultimate destination. So if we don't have any idea what that destination is, if Hashem would not tell us that there is such a destination, we wouldn't know that it exists. So therefore, how can we possibly understand what life is if the whole goal of life is something that we cannot see, that we can only know because he's telling us about it?
So we're the Olam Haba part of it.
Yeah, Olam Haba. It's not just a part. That's like, compared to that, this is nothing. This whole thing is a blink of an eye, right? That's eternity, right? And, it could happen very soon. So it's not a matter of necessarily even having to wait that long. So the point is that's kind of scary in a sense, to think of the idea that we're here and looking at our lives. Think about that for a minute. We're looking at what we're here for and how we're focusing our lives and what we're expecting out of life and what our goals are in life and all these things without knowing what life is, because we don't know where we're going unless we get it from Hashem. And even Hashem is not telling us very much about that because we can't understand it. Everything says this is something you've never seen, nothing you can really conceive of even. You really don't know what it is. So when you talk about Betucha and Amunah and things like that, if you don't have a minna that Hashem knows what he's doing, and he put us here because he knows what we're about and he knows what's good for us, we don't know anything. We don't know anything. If that doesn't lead a person to ultimate bittul, nothing does. We don't know why we're here. Only because Hashem has a plan for us. And Hashem is telling us it's going to be good. Don't worry. Believe me. It's really going to be good. Trust me. And then so trust me. So then what?
Does the Maharal tell us why he thinks Hashem structured in such a way that we don't know what our personal missions are?
Why did
Hashem structure it in such a way that he left us in such quandary as to what we're here to do?
I don't know if that's really kind of conjecture. I can think of reasons to explain that. One practical reason is because, again, our minds are limited to things that we've experienced. Right. So therefore, we're talking about something that's totally out of experience. And we're talking ultimately about something that's not even based in Gashmias. It's not even a physical thing. So how could he explain it to us with our limited minds in a way that we would understand it? So it's hinted at, but it cannot be, possibly described. That's one thing. Another thing is that I think it is intended to be a test of bituchim. Do we? It's like you say, do you really trust me? If you really trust me, put your your ball in my court, or whatever you want to say. Follow me. Don't worry about it. And ultimately, because we're talking about ultimate stuff here. We're not talking about, just a small investment of money or playing a game or something that, just follow me for 10 minutes or an hour or join my tour of some kind of. We're talking about ultimate stuff here. We're talking about eternity, the final plan. So that's something that you just have to say, look, Hashem, I give myself over to you. You know what you're doing. You know what's best for me, and this is what I'm going to do. But then we're totally dependent on the Torah. Because the Torah is the way that Hashem communicates to us. That He's communicated to us originally, and He continues to communicate to us in every generation, and in every person, every day of his life, every time we learn a piece of Torah, it's telling us, what to do. So this is where we're getting our instructions from. And if we really understand that this is a day-by-day thing. I mean, Baruch Hashem, I've had, different people experience the Shkolka Patzes different ways. The main way that I would say I see Hashem's involvement in my life on a day-to-day basis is in my learning. Because I see so many juxtapositions and combinations in the way, something I'm learning, and then the same day or the next day I'll find something on the same pasuk that, takes me in another direction and goes deeper and whatever. And it's constant give and take. It's like I really feel like it's like there's a real challenge response type of relationship going on here. That Hashem is directly inputting stuff. So and I felt it always, and just take a safer, happens to be taken out of off the shelf, and that's specifically the idea that I wanted to explore or something like that. I mean, all the time. So it's a question of this personal relationship with the Torah, where the Torah is Mama speaking to you, and Hashem is obviously speaking through the Torah. That's what it's there for. Okay, so too many minutes later. Okay, so this idea of leads me. So it says Divrei Torah toimchim ha'ashrim kol ha'olam kila. So really, the Torah is supporting the entire world. This is not just us as Yidden. The Torah is not just written for us. The Torah was the blueprint for the world as a whole. So therefore, the Torah is something that we've been given access to and a very personal connection to, and also with certain mitzvahs that are specifically for us. But it's really giving chayas and meaning and direction to the world as a whole. So he says. So in other words, if it's really supporting the world as a whole, then how could it not support each of us as individuals? We're just this small tiny microcosm compared to this huge macrocosm all. And we're talking about the world. We're not talking about just about the visible world. We're talking about all the oilamists. We're talking about all the spiritual worlds as well, and the whole structure of all of the entire cosmos, the kind of universe, all of these different dimensions. So it's everything. And at the same time, it has this specific individual connection to each one of us.
It also means that if there aren't Jews following the Torah, the world will collapse.
Yeah, for sure. No, we're talking about Olam Tzadikim and all that. Okay, so he says, going on, so he says, Kol Ma'aseh Bereishis Hayitlim Oimdim Ashishi B'Sivan. So he says, not only that, it was like the entire, even though the Torah was a blueprint for creating the world to begin with, it was also, he says the whole world was waiting. It was like tluyim va'oimdim. It was hanging in limbo, waiting for the 6th of Sivan to happen, when Hashem would give us the Torah on Har Sinai. Har Sinai was such a cataclysmic event in the history of the world that this was the time that the Torah was revealed to a specific nation that was going to carry it out. And it went now from beyond the point of just being a blueprint or just being something that was followed by a very select few individuals that were, that just knew it by osmosis or however they got it, as opposed to, a nation which has now taken this on to be their mission in history, to be the bearers of the Torah and the ones that are going to really carry it out with Poil. So that was like a tremendous event when that finally happened. And what happens is, and that's why Hashem said that if you don't accept it, he's going to return the Torah, the whole world to Tohu Vavohu. He's going to undo the whole creation, because the whole creation was just for the sake of this, that the Yidden should take on the Torah. Because without the Torah, the whole creation has no meaning and has no tachlis. It's not going to go where it's supposed to go, because there's nobody to say, there's nobody to follow it. So, okay, so he says. So that's what's sustaining the world. That's giving the direction to the world. That's what's pushing the world in the right direction, the way it's supposed to go, and it's giving certainly a tachlis for the Jewish people, what we're supposed to be doing. Okay, so then he goes to the next step, which is to say that the Torah itself is the seder of the world and the seder of the Odam. So this is a very basic principle. It's a belief in itself that the world has a Seder. Is that everything is ordered in a very specific order. It's not, again, hefker. It's not disjointed. It's not even in a state of disarray, hefker or whatever. It's something that really does have a stability to it. It has an order. It has a design. It has again, a reason for being. Someplace where it's going. It's on the way to completion. It's this concept of tikkun, that there's this process going on behind the scenes all the time. This is one of the things that the Leshem brings out. It's the concept of when we say in Shemona Esrei, it was like the concept. The reason why when we say Mechaye Mesim is in the present, not just in the future. And we say Goyal Yisrael, not just Yigal Yisrael. We say the idea of the Geula and the Tchias HaMesim is talking about a tikkun, which has to take place where all the netzitzis are redeemed and released from their being trapped or whatever. And this is going on all the time, in all aspects of creation, not just in terms of neshamas. It's talking about everything. Everything is constantly going through this process of aliyah, of elevation and redemption. So the Torah itself is the Seder of everything. And it's impossible without it. And therefore, man himself, and the Jews specifically, are the ones that that it's incumbent upon them to keep this Seder and to guard this Seder and to implement this plan so that Seder is preserved and enforced and implemented. So that's the Seder of existence itself. And there's another aspect, is that through the Torah itself, everything is combined. It's all connected. So that there's a connection between every element within creation with every other element. And we, again, this is our purpose, is to make sure that connection exists and that it continues to be, that everything is interrelating each element with every other element. And again, we're the ones that are implementing that. This whole idea is that, basically, just to kind of bring it together, we're going to through very little of this, but the point is that there is a dependence, or an interdependence, let's say, between Hashem and man, specifically Jewish people, of doing this together. Hashem is depending on us to do this with him because the whole idea is that the mitzvahs are something that have to be done by Yidden. If there's no Yidden to do the mitzvahs, then the Torah is bottled. There's nobody to the Torah is not just a bunch of information that's just out there, or just a bunch of history or something like that. It is instructions. If somebody has to be doing this, and the whole world, as we just explained, the entire world and the whole creation is depending on us to come through and to actually implement the Torah that has been given. So it's not something that can be just, say, well, we're the Jewish people and we have this book, and sometimes once in a while we get curious, we look and see what's in the book, It's like, this is our instructions, this is our marching orders, this is our day-to-day activity, this is something to be involved with all the time, because we're the ones that Hashem is depending on to do the work that has to get done. So...
in fact, the Alshech says that all the worlds, the upper worlds, the angels and the galaxies all depend on us to do it. In other words, they
exactly.
rely on us.
They're relying on us, and Hashem is relying on us, so it's
We
a responsibility. Yeah.
Shkoyach.
So relatively, very small